Alright, so right now I'm just doing some layout. I have this one laid out for dovetails, this one, and these two up here. This is my piece of glass that's going to go on the front. This project is going to be a shadow box for my brother-in-law, who is retiring from the Air Force, and we just want to show our appreciation, so I'm making something for him to put his medals in. So these are going to be my tail boards, these are going to be my pin boards, and then also I'm going to have to route a mortise, tenon for the, pretty much a slot for the glass to slide into. So right now I'm just doing the layout on these, and I'll show you guys how to use the new dovetail guide that I got. So just stick through this. I'll do a quick fast forward and bring along the whole process. Alright, so now I just got to figure out how many pins and how many tails I'm going to be doing. Sorry, let me put my headphones away, but there's a bunch of static in the background. Alright, so I think I'm going to do 2 tails on this, which will result, half pin, full pin, half pin. So pretty much how I'm going to do that is I'm going to put about a 1/2 inch. I don't know if you guys could see that all that well. Adjust my camera. It's about a 1/2 inch on either side. That'll be a half pin. I'm just going to mark that. I just want to make sure that these are the same. And they are not at all. It's alright. That's why I like working with walnut. It's really easy to erase stuff. Alright, so I'm going to mark a 1/4 inch in from the edge. Just give myself a little mark there. Straight line. Straight line. Boom. That's done. Do this initial line a little better. There we go. So I got my 2 half pins, and then pretty much what I'm going to figure out is in between those two, I'm going to have 2 tails. So I need to have, I'll take my compass here, and from the edge of this, I need to be able, I'm not going to push in because I don't want to make any marks, but I need to have, from here, I need twice the distance, there, so not quite enough. So I'm going to loosen this a little bit. So 1, 2, there's about twice the distance, and 1, 2. So now I'm going to poke in a little bit. So I got a hole there, and a hole there, hole there, and a hole there. So that gives me a place to put strike my lines. So I have hole, 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 hole. So I'm going to have pin, tail, pin, tail, pin. And then the other board, I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to measure off the next board what I'm going to be doing there. So I'm going to mark this up, and I'll show you guys how to use the guide after. So pretty much now I'm going to take, this is the David Barron magnetic dovetail guide. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to just use this to finish out my measurements. So for this pin, I'm going to follow along the top and then go from the bottom, my strike line, and mark up. Go not to the next line, but to the line after that, because this is going to be going at the same angle. Straight, back down, and then I'll switch over. A lot of people will switch their board over because they're not left-handed, they're right-handed. I just find that to be silly. My left hand is more than capable of following a dovetail guide, so I just use my left. So now here you can see waist, 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 tail, tail. So I'm just going to mark off the X's so I know what pieces I am cutting towards. So pretty much what you have to do now is take the magnetic guide, line it up, and I put it just on the inside of that line. So when I cut it, the waist, I'm cutting into the waist, I'm not cutting into the tail, and then I can always clean it up with a chisel. This is the saw that I use with the guide. It's called a Gokucho. I believe this is a Dozuki saw. I don't know what model number it is, but if you want a great dovetail saw to go along with this guide, I would recommend this one. To use this, sorry for the background noise, to use this guide is actually pretty simple. So for the tails, you put the big block side up top, and if you see, from this side, if I put it on top, the taper follows along. So I put this block on top, put it up to the line that I want to cut, snap my saw on the side of the magnet, line it up, and then just this is my left hand, this is my bad hand, so I'll usually cut part of the way, and then just come through and follow the line that I started with my right. So that's my good cutting hand. As weird as that sounds. So, as you can see, waist, 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 tail, tail, and it's pretty spot on perfect. I'll walk through an entire process with it. So, I measure my 2 half pins, use the compass, mark here, mark there, and when I switch over to this side, you can see there's the width of the half pin on the outside. Mark here, mark there, strike my lines. I use the guide to strike my lines. Just throw it in here, tighten the vise, snap my saw onto the side. I'll go just on the inside of the line because I could always pare it down with a chisel afterwards if it's a little too thick. And the only reason I stop is because the spine runs into the top of the guide. So what you would do at that point is cut. So now the spine's hitting the top. So what I could do is just drop it down, meet the magnet. The only issue with that I've found is there's this plastic that protects the magnet on the side. It starts to cut into that. So what I'll do is I'll bring it down to when the spine makes contact, and then just finish that last little bit of the cut with just freehand. So there's really no problem doing that. At the top. Finish it off. And then I personally just switch hands. You don't have to. It's hard for a lot of people to do that, but with the guide it kind of takes all the guesswork out of it. You just need to slowly. Actually, now I just take my good saw. It's so weird saying that. So I got all my tails cut. So there's two ways to do this, pretty much flat out. I mean, there's 100 different ways to do it. There's two ways with my tools and my abilities to do this. So I could either take a coping saw, cut in and cut out the majority of the pins, which works 90% of the time, works perfectly, no problem. Or what I could do as well, wow, quite a bow in this. I don't think I realized it was there. Or I could take a drill and as long as it's better on the drill press, but as long as you keep it fairly up and down, drill out these chunks, and then what you could do is just take a chisel and just whack out that chunk and then pare down the rest. I'm going to try both today and see what luck I have. But first thing, I'm going to just take a chisel, this nice big one I have, and just create a little shelf right there. What that'll do is it creates a nice shelf for me to cut. And, you know, with that, I'm not very good at freehand cutting. That pretty much gave me a perfect 90-degree angle. So I'm going to do that. I'll just leave you guys along with the process and listen to some music while I'm doing all this.